introduce the school properly. This
Ah,
is the seven-time state championship. Did I get that right, Principal Smith?
You did.
Championship
You did.
basketball.
Going for eight.
Uh, Going for eight. Going for eight. We here. Let's go. Let's go ahead and make it a nice 10. Let's round that number up. The seven-time state championship basketball winning team and academic achievers for Trustee Foreman as well. We'll be looking at changes and renovations to the Justin F. Kimball High School Knights community. Take it away, Derwin.
Well, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening for this project as well. So we're actually excited to be working on more or less sort of this campus between Brown and Kimball. I know they're separate schools, but we're really excited about working with both teams and both campuses to make improvements in this particular neighborhood within Dallas. So let's move forward, Brendan. And we have basically the same team, and this helps to bring some continuity to the project. We're augmenting everyone here on the slide with additional team members to support the delivery of the overall project, but this core team will be working on both campuses. You move forward. So the scope. So what was the original bond package? And some of these items are very similar to what's in Brown, but we're looking at replacing the educational casework. Some of that work has already been done. It was done in the 2015 bond. We're going to continue that work and complete it in this particular bond. We got a replacement of the acoustical ceiling tiles. On the teaching services, like we've noted before, we got some areas of the building that weren't touched that we need to replace those old marker boards and those old chalkboards with new marker boards. Exterior and interior painting. We have some exterior doors that weren't replaced previously that we're going to replace in this particular package. The wayfinding site signage. Want to make sure everyone knows where to go when they arrive on the site. The marquee sign was replaced in the bond package, and I want to make sure I'm clear on this. So the thing that wasn't replaced was that you weren't provided with a digital marquee. So we're looking to provide a digital marquee sign for Kimball in this particular bond. New room graphics, which is primarily in the areas that we don't have site signs or room signage that we need to make it consistent throughout the overall campus. The roof. We want to make sure that building is watertight. So there was parts of this building that the roof has not been replaced, that we're going to replace the standing seam, which is the metal roof in some parts. We have a built-up and spray foam roof system that's going to be replaced with a new roof system. And addressing the waterproofing and sealant joints, again, we want to make sure it's watertight. There were a couple of windows and curtain wall systems that weren't replaced in the bond package, primarily the fins that were on the front of the building. Those windows weren't replaced. We're going to replace those in this particular bond package. And then one of the items that showed up on the list, and we're trying to figure out what the best way is to address this, is a front entry canopy. We're going to work with the principal to make sure we have the canopy in the right place, whether it's on the front of the building or the side of the building, to provide that drop off and pickup for areas of refuge for the students before and after school. Similar to Brown, landscaping and sidewalk replacements as necessary. That's not a complete replacement. That's what we're necessary to address deficiencies there. The air conditioning in our technology closets to make sure that equipment continues to run well. Completing the fire alarm system that was started in the past bond package to make sure that we have all the notifiers and pull systems throughout the building and everything works together as one system. Exterior and interior lighting controls. And then augmented with that would be replacement of the light fixtures with new LED fixtures. Similar to Brown, we want to make sure we address the plumbing improvements. So if there's deficiencies like, smells or odors or anything, and make sure that the sewer and the domestic water functions properly in the building, we're going to try to address that. And then, of course, cameras and card readers similar to the scopes. So you see some of these scopes are very similar, but there are deficiencies on both campuses that need to be addressed. And I believe that's the base scope. So we've taken a similar approach with this diagram. So we have areas within the school, and this is the first floor plan. So there's areas of school that aren't highlighted, that are basic areas that have already been touched in the past bond package. So we're basically looking at the academic spaces and the core spaces on the first floor, providing new finishes, flooring, ceiling, teacher services in that first floor classrooms. We're looking to provide that, like I said, that front entry canopy or that canopy. We don't know the exact location. That's represented in red. That may be at the front of the building. That may be at the side of the building. That's to be determined. And largely that first floor is finishes. And I'm going to show you a couple other things later. So I know you got plenty of questions about the auditorium. So I say hold those questions for a second because I know it's not highlighted. So we're going to come back to that in a moment. So let's go to the next floor. So the second floor is primarily, again, the classrooms, really in corridors, replacing those finishes throughout. And then also the roof as well. So go forward. And then the roof, again, replacing basically the entire roof. The only thing that's not highlighted on here is basically the new addition that was done in 2015, the 2015 bond in the front, and the new addition that was done for I think it was science classrooms that were added later. So those additions are brand new roofs. We're not touching those, but everything else we're replacing the roof on. So when it comes down to additional scope, we took a fair amount of time to walk the school and identify the additional deficiencies throughout the campus. And what we identified, there were some improvements that need to be done to the band hall. There was some work started in the auditorium that we basically want to complete that work in the auditorium. And we'll talk about that a little bit later because we have a couple of graphics here we'll show you. Culinary arts, the space that they're currently in does not match the program that they have, and providing sufficient space for culinary arts to provide that program, that CTE program. As a function of culinary arts, facilitating the culinary arts move, we're actually going to relocate robotics. So that's why that's listed here. The media center or the library needs some updated finishes there. There is no real dance studio here. We're going to address that need here. There were some improvements started at your now competition gym, which is now housed at Sprague. We're going to complete some additional modifications there to address those needs. We're going to provide you with a weight room, or we're looking to provide you with a weight room that's comparable to some of your other neighboring high schools, along with the training room. We're also aware of some water issues down in the rifle range at JROTC that we're looking to explore to figure out how we can mitigate that and provide that space to where it's upgraded and it meets those needs there. So that's on our list as well. And again, these are additional scope items that we're trying to identify where the funding and everything else comes from, but they are on our list and we're trying to figure out a way to incorporate them into the project. So let's move forward to the next slide. So graphically, this is what this looks like. So we have, again, light, medium, and heavy. So when we look at the auditorium, for example, which is in the top left-hand corner of the diagram here, which represents your performing arts. Auditorium, your choreography band. We're going to look to update those finishes in that area, provide new storage cabinets for the music instruments, and address those finishes in those areas so they function better than they currently function. They're going to stay in their current location, but we're going to make those spaces better. We walked into the band hall. That space is actually a really nice space as far as volume and size. It needs to be refreshed, and then like the areas for practice rooms need to be addressed and music storage. So all that's on our list to try to incorporate into the project. The media center, really just updating those finishes in there and providing you that type of environment that the students really need. The culinary arts is in the top left-hand corner, and that's actually where the old wood shop is that's being used for robotics. When we walk the space, we identify it as a space that can be easily converted to culinary arts. So that's why it's represented as a heavy renovation, because we're basically going to convert that. We're going to gut that space and reconfigure it for culinary arts. Your old, I'm going to skip down the diagram on the very right-hand corner, the weight room and training room. So this is your old practice gym. So now since you have the competition gym, which is in Sprague, and you have your old PE gym, or competition gym, which is now your PE gym, we can now basically take that old PE gym and reconfigure it to a weight room and a training room. Nice volume of space that we get for those two areas and provide a great space for the student athletes and for the students. And then once we make that move to move weight room and training room to that location, we can then take the current weight room and convert that into a dance studio that's appropriate for the students as well. So moving forward to the competition gym, there were some improvements done in the last bond with some graphics and some other things within Sprague for the main playing surfaces. So what we're going to look at is basically the areas surrounding that, the support spaces, the locker rooms, the areas that the coaches need for storage, the shower rooms. We're going to reconfigure the spaces that are there currently to make them work better for the students and for the staff that are going to play there, and for the visitors that are going to visit there and play there as well. But this is Kimball's home and needs to be fitting for the state champions, right? So we're going to try and make this the home that you deserve. So schedule similar to Brown, we're looking at going through design starting in June and extend that through basically the first quarter of 2024. And then after that, we're going to turn these documents over to the bond team that will bid this out to contractors and get the bids back. And then we'll basically go into a construction period. And much like the last bond, it'll be probably more or less a phased construction. And I didn't mention this during Brown as well, but basically phased. So this will happen over a period of time. So that schedule for construction is not represented on the slide, but that information will be forthcoming in the coming months as we move through the project. So I have also provided in this presentation some images. So this image represents basically the exterior window fins, which we are calling at the front of the building along Westmoreland. These weren't replaced in the last one. We're going to replace the fins along with the windows behind them. So we want to get some feedback, and we had some discussions internally about how we approach this, because we could do a couple different things. We could basically replace these fins in kind. So basically, like you have now, we basically take them down, replace some windows, put up some new fins. So I know option A represents some orange fins, and I know it's not your colors, but we'll be very respectful of the Kimball colors, the red and the blue. But we go back with some fins similar to what you have. That's option A. Option B is more of a simpler approach to it. So what we call is vertical fins. So basically a fin that is vertical that runs up and down, similar to the panels, except they may not be as deep, so they may not be as pronounced. But simplifying the look along Westmoreland is an option. So if you look at option A, it's like replace it, one for one, like for like. Option B, we replace it for something that's a little bit more simple, but still keeps the essence of it. And option C is we just kind of maybe just put back the glass and the mullions and leave it as is and do something a little bit more simplified. Do we need the statement there? And again, we've had these discussions internally, but we wanted to get some feedback from the community as far as, when it comes to that first impression, when you walk up to the campus, like, what do you want to see? So we'll love to get your feedback. And I think Ms. Bell is going to tell you how to do that.
Yes. Well, we're going to have a couple of ways to do this. And I know we have some alumni here. We see the SBDM is here. We know we have staff people there. So we can do two things. One, vote. If you don't want to take your hand off and give your comments, concerns, you can either add in the chat either A, B, C. If you want to share your thoughts on each one, please do so at the chat. If not, please raise your hand and we can take you off mute, or you can make your comments now. Ms. Danita.
So first I want to say I am overjoyed. I'm over here almost in tears. I'm so happy. It's like, when you want to thank the Academy, I want to thank, Brent and Ms. Kelly and really Principal Smith for staying the course with us, because we've had countless SBDM meetings going over this. Darwin, I know you don't know this, but Brent and I think the young man who came to our meeting, our last SBDM meeting, we actually voted on the fins. And our SBDM consists of our PTSA plus our Alumni Association and the athletic department. So our athletic coordinator, coaches, and staff and on-site team are a part of it as well. So we have a very robust SBDM. And we voted that we did not want to keep the fins, of course, as is. I would like to see, I know a lot of people that would vote on this, they're actually not logged in. They're watching this from the alumni page, because we shared the video, we shared the feed to our alumni page. So I don't think that they would be able to vote. I don't see a lot of them in our chat. So I don't think that would be fair to have people who are not a part of Kimball, trying to vote tonight on something when they're not on here to actually vote. But I know that I know they would like the opportunity to vote on these three examples, and they can probably do it rather swiftly, either via like a doodle or something of that nature, or you can send out a voting tab in Teams for them to do so, and we could provide their contact, or you can just have an open link and they can address it. But my question was to Brent regarding, I loved everything, but my question was regarding the softball field that we so desperately need. And I know that during the Brown chat that they talked about a softball field, we have identified a space available for a softball field that's at the corner of Brown and catty corner to Kimball's practice field. That would be ideal for a softball field for the girls, because we've had to drive all the way to Pleasant Grove for softball games, and frankly, we had an accident, going all the way from Kimball to Pleasant Grove for that game, and it would be a public safety issue for us to continue to do that. So, is there an opportunity to have a softball field with lights on that field, adequate lights for us to have those evening games?
Brent, you're on mute.
Yeah, I do know we plan on replacing the baseball and softball fields. We did not have lights included in that scope. We were trying to get lights for the practice fields for the football field. That would have to go through our zoning process, and if we get support, we were budgeting to put lights in that location. But yes, we are upgrading the softball and baseball fields. And this is not the end of the presentation either. I think we have a few more slides.
Yes.
But yeah, noted. And I was going to ask Ms. Bell, maybe we leave the poll up for a while, and I would like to add an option too of like D, no fins at all, Durham, because I've heard from some of the alumni and different community members, and they're okay with going away from the look completely, going with something sleek and more modern, but some may want to throw back. So I would say add that to the poll. Ms. Bell will give you the web location it'll be located, and we'll leave it out, a couple of weeks or so, and then in our next meeting, give you guys feedback. Okay?
Thank you so much. That's what we agreed on, was no fins at all.
Okay.
Denise, what we will do is we'll put that along with this meeting presentation. We'll go ahead and do a poll. It will be on the Bond 2020 meetings website, and we'll go ahead and leave that up until the week after the 4th of July to give the adequate attention. And thank you so much, Ms. Lacking Quinn, for sharing this on the alumni site. We know that's very important to get the information out and to share. I do see Trustee Foreman has her hands raised. Trustee Foreman?
Yes, I do. Thank you for the presentation. Brent, I did not think we were voting on anything tonight. I want the rest of the community to have an opportunity to please have their input so that we are addressing the community at large.
Yeah, no, yeah, we'll have it out here. And like I said, we do have a few more slides. We won't take any polling tonight or whatnot. I just want to give you guys the options and let you guys take a look at it. So, Derwin, you want to?
Yeah, and I just want to know, Brandon, as well as that, we want to get just some general feedback. We're going to bring back some options, like some renderings with some options on it. So we just want to get some general feedback. So, but most definitely. Yeah, but let's move forward, Brandon. So in regard to Sprague and the locker rooms, and again, this is just a concept. This is not the final design, but we started to look at, how can we re-envision those existing spaces to provide a space that's suitable for our state championship, teams. And I'm going to say teams, so we're going to claim it, right? We're going to have additional teams, boys, girls, all the way around, right? So how do we provide those types of spaces? So we really want to make sure your branding's strong. We want to make sure you have the right technology in those spaces, locker rooms or lockers, because they're not sufficient now. So this is just an idea, but this is sort of the direction that we're heading, and we're looking forward to getting your feedback, as we go further into the process. But this is just a concept.
Yeah, and for the community, we really push the design team to give you guys something unique. I haven't seen this within DSD, and with you guys being the state champions, I'm loving where you guys are going with this, Derwin. So kudos to the design team. I hope the rest of the alumni and community share my enthusiasm about this space.
Yeah, well, I know Brandon and James and Mariah have done a lot of hard work on this. So I want to acknowledge them on this.
And let me jump in right quick to speak to something that I saw it pop up on Facebook. Our design team works very intimately with the bond marketing, and one of our charges is to ensure that any designs that go into the building, be they architecture designs, signages, graphics, etc., are tied directly to the official school colors, mascots, and logos. So let me reassure that I saw someone in Facebook saying, "Not orange, blue." Trust me. Our architects really and truly kind of get sick of us going, no, that's the wrong shade of blue. No, let's go with the other shade of red. But we do monitor those to make certain that we are. And in fact, some of our architects have actually won awards because of our diligence on marketing back to the brand and ensuring that we have integrity. Trustee Foreman, I do see your hand raised again.
Yes, very quickly, I want the community to know that the athletic department worked with the bond construction people and design to make sure that they got what they needed. So a lot of this is from the athletic department, and we really appreciate that.
Fantastic. Okay, Guru, I think you want to go ahead with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am. You advance forward, Brandon. And so we're starting to study the auditorium, and we haven't designed it yet, but we are looking at options for the auditorium and how we can re-envision that space. So that auditorium will be comprised of new seating. We're going to look at configuring the walls and providing some new acoustical treatments there. There were some new soft goods as far as the curtains have already been done. But how do we complete that space and provide a space that's suitable for your performing arts program? So this is one particular configuration of that, and then we have another option, or it's not really an option, but we're looking at options. So again, these aren't designed, these are very high level, what we consider sketches, but this kind of gives you a vision for what the space could be, or if we start to look at how can we re-envision it. So really no feedback requested right now, but we'd love to hear, as far as what makes that space uniquely Kimball. So, because we want to make sure we capture the essence of that in the space as we look at really re-envisioning what it wants to be. Brandon, is there anything else? I'm not sure. I think that's the last slide, isn't it?
No, I think that's the last. Oh, I thought you said Brent. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, Brent. You're good. I think we're done.
So yeah, Ms. Bell, you want to take us through our questions, or see if we got
yes,
any?
and again, I want to make sure that we, if you're joining us, please be sure to use the link in the chat room to register tonight. So we want to know exactly who's with us. That way we can also make sure that when we have future meetings, you'll get direct notification. Now, going out to Facebook for a minute, Royce B. Johnson has a shout out to Mr. Hughes. Great job, Mr. Hughes. T.W. Brown is in good hands. So kudos, Mr. Hughes. We also have Mr. Johnson reiterating the fact that Kimball is navy blue. So we want to make sure that we have that as part of the record, that Kimball is navy blue. We also have a question from Mark Robertson Craddock. Ms. Craddock wants to know, will the windows be bulletproof at the school?
I would say,
I'm not sure.
I can answer. From a security standpoint, we were providing pretty much standard windows throughout the building. What we listed is there's some additional security film at the security vestibules that I wouldn't say is bullet resistant, but it does slow down someone trying to enter into the building. So that's the directive we've been given from the district in that regard. But we're not currently providing bullet resistant windows in the facility.
Chief Alfred, there's a question in the chat for you. Mr. Harris, would you like to come off mute and ask your question? If not, I'll go ahead.
Sorry, forgive me.
Go ahead.
In a very noisy environment. Chief Alfred, just for you, is the bidding process open to any large or commercial construction organizations for bidding once you guys are able to format that RFP, I'm guessing? Or if not, are the requirements available to be posted or distributed for those companies?
It's open to any company that wants to bid. We advertise it twice in the Sunday's paper. We also, if you follow our procurement website, our bond vendor procurement opportunities. It'll be posted there, and it'll have a list of instructions and qualifications. We'll have pre-bid proposals, walkthroughs, and it'll tell you our actual bid date. The important thing is really bonding capacity and insurances you'll need to bid on this project. But we're actually having a big mixer next week at Thomas Jefferson on the 23rd, I believe, Ms. Bell, where
Yes.
we're going to get all the contracts together, and you'll hear a lot of information about how we advertise and how to work with DSD. So I do encourage any interested bidder to come out to our mixer next week. Thank you.
And I want to say thank you. Danita, you're moving faster than I could. Danita went, Ms. Lacking Quinn, I tell you what, Kimball, you have a SBDM that's really on top of it. She has kindly gone in and included the link to our construction mixer next Friday in the chat. So please go out and register and come. Everyone's welcome. Come on out and see what we're talking about and what's going on. Kudos. Thank you so much. Ms. Domingos, you had another question or comment? Would you like to go off you to share?
Just as a parent, I do feel like the school needs more security cameras throughout the building, inside and outside of the building. Mainly the doors coming in and going out. When the doors open in the building, maybe it needed be alerted to security. I don't think that there's enough security or hall monitors to manage the thousands of students that we have in the building. And no, we can't be everywhere in the building when students walk out, when students come in. And so I just think that's a big concern as a parent and as a staff member, that more security cameras be added to the building.
Yes, all our schools are getting security upgrades in the 2020 bond. We have about $114 million across all the campuses, including Kimball and Brown. It consists of access control, your door buzzers with the camera. And like I say, when KI develops the plans, we're also working with our internal safety and security team to identify those camera locations that are needed. So while the ceiling's out and construction is going on, they'll be making sure we have adequate coverage.
And let me share again for those who were not a part of the Brown meeting. You can see what you're looking at right now is a whiteboard that our architecture team is using to capture comments and questions and concerns and suggestions. So you're not just talking to the air. We actually are capturing these. They will be taking those comments back. They'll be integrating them and listening, matching up budget numbers and working with the community as well to develop a plan and a scope that is actually reflective of the needs and the desires of the Kimball community. Ms. Lacking Quinn, yes, you had your hand raised.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you so much for the thorough feedback. So my question is that while we're going through this process, I know that there will be bids that will go out and come back in for you to start the work in February of 2024. Will we have the opportunity, meaning the Kimball community, to review I'm not going to say the textures, or maybe the colors and the suggestions that will be used for the auditorium and the build out of the we just want to make sure we don't get black and skyline colors and Carter colors. And I know that we have, and Ms. Bell, you did a wonderful job making sure that the branding packets went out, and we have that, but we want to make sure that it's clear that we are navy and crimson at Kimball, and that our athletics as well as our academics are shown throughout the halls consistently with Kimball, and through the band hall and through the dance studio, because they deserve the best as well, because they represent us on and off the field. So will we have the opportunity to look through those things collectively as a group, far as making sure that, we did want those navy blue chairs in the auditorium. I think Carter's getting red, but we want navy blue. So we just want to make sure that we can be a part of that journey.
Let me jump in for a moment again, and Mr. Alfred, jump in if I'm off base here. This is a collaboration. And thank you for giving the shout out, Danita. Yes, we did have to do a color correction for the Kimball alumni on exactly the correct shade of navy blue to make sure we did have that color correct. We do work on that. In the past, this is something that the principal can work with the architect on developing who he would like to be a part of that review committee. Each campus is somewhat unique. Most times an SBDM person is somewhat involved, alumni, et cetera. But that's kind of where we go at the actual campus space to know how we can get looking at those images, but to be included, how you want to represent to make sure the integrity and the legacy of the school is being included. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, Ms. Bell is correct. Like I said, we like to collaborate, but at the end of the day, I was going to say, yeah, I'm a protocol guy, and we do go to the principal. As construction services, we lean heavily on our principals, and when we support them in the meetings, whether it's SBDM or any other community, they want us to attend to kind of support and kind of go through those colors. But we look for their sign off on those color scheme selections. Typically, they do go out to a small committee or, the SBDM and collaborate with them on it. But that's going to kind of be our protocol, is to kind of follow the principal's lead on that. My architects, they love to show off their work. They create the pretty pictures and want to get feedback from you guys. So you got a lot of people have you back, like Miss Bell, and even my PM is a Kimball alumni as well. So I do think on this one we're gonna get those colors right.
Now, for one correction, I'm not a Kimball alumni. However, I do live in Oak Cliff. Ms. Thomas, let me see your hand raised.
Yes, and thank you for the answering the question. I also want to just add, if possible, if there could be like a survey that's also given to like the freshman students, so they can share what they want. Oftentimes as adults, we make a lot of decisions for the children, but we need to listen to what the children say as well. I think that would be beneficial. And I'm a Kimball parent, and so probably by the time this project ends, my son will be graduating. But I just think that tapping off into the freshman student would be beneficial. And I also gotta come back to Brown Auditorium. I'm still advocating for that. That's a need. So please find that money, because Brown needs an auditorium. I just have to keep pushing that point that Brown needs an auditorium. Thank you.
We appreciate your advocacy, Miss Thomas, and we've done it various ways. Like I said, we have done easels in the lobbies and let students put tax on it, but it's all really following our principal's lead on that. But yeah, we're open to it. I think that's a great suggestion, and like I said, we'll huddle around and see how we want to roll this thing out. So thank you.
Okay, fantastic, Danita. We have some comments coming in through just some things about suggestions of what they'll be doing as far as on the campus level as well. I think that this has been first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing us to have this particular meeting and bring these ideas with you. This is, again, just the kickoff of what will be a pretty fast-paced but rigorous and thorough process to develop and make sure that we're shaping the future of these two communities, this one community, two schools, because we want to make sure that the excellence that's within Brown and Kimball are reflected in the facilities that our communities are sharing. Okay, we do have a question, Ms. Domingo. Ms. Dominguez, you have a question about the field house? Go ahead.
The field house and the auditorium, will both centers be getting a new surround sound system? Because it is very much needed.
We currently have in our budget proposal to the district, we have a new audio system in both spaces. So we're carrying that, but again, we're working through the budget and want to make sure that we meet the overall budget, but we're carrying that right now in the request.
Fantastic. Again, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to allow us to come to you for this information. I want to share with you, we'll be working with the architect on this, we're working with our architect to develop a survey for the different things they're having and make sure we get that shared out. If you would give us until the end of the week to make sure we have the input that they need to hear and develop that. We will have it on the bond website. And again, that address is dallasisd.org/bond 2020 meetings. That's BOND, the number 2020 meetings with an S. Ms. Craddock, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead. Ms. Craddock, you're still on mute. You had your hand raised for a question? Okay, we'll go ahead and move forward then. We want to start back by giving kudos again for this wonderful design team on this. Mr. Alfred, would you like to have closing remarks as we wrap up the meeting?
Yeah, just in closing, I just want to express my sincere gratitude to the Kimball and community and the feedback we received tonight. I think it's very beneficial. Just going to make this project that much better. So again, I just tip my hats to your engagement. I looked at the attendee list and happy to see it so well attended and populated. There's so many of these meetings I go to, it's 1 or 2 people. So we love you guys' voice and you guys coming out to see us and talk about this project. So, with that, I want to encourage you to stay engaged throughout this process. Contact your principal with any update. We're going to try to keep the bond website as up to date as possible, but we're going to be working toward the next phase of this project, which is schematic design and design development before we go into the construction documents phase that Mr. Broughton showed earlier. And in the first quarter of next year, you should see us going to board with our contractor to actually start the construction of this project. Some things with inflation and just COVID, we're still seeing longer lead times on equipment. So we're still working on that complete construction duration. But again, our best source is our bond website, and always reaching out to your principal. He can get in touch with us to keep everyone updated. So with that, Ms. Bell, I'll turn it back to you.
Fantastic. Trustee Foreman, you've been here through 2 meetings, showing of course, the excellence that you always show in representing your district. If you would like to make closing remarks at this time.
Just like Chief Alfred, glad to see so many people attend the meeting. And I look forward to Principal Smith, along with Dr. Kelly, the ED, working on this with the community to try to figure out the next steps. I'm always there and available. Really glad I was able to push you, Brent, to another level. It's been some confusion about the dollars in this project, but as you can see, the dollars are still here, and we are excited to make sure we go forward.
And thank you, Trustee Foreman, for attending this evening, but also thank you for everything you do in representing your district and making sure that the voice of our children and our families, our staff, and our educators are always heard. We just appreciate everything that you do on the trustee board. Dr. Kelly, it's up to you. Do you have any closing remarks you'd like to share?
I just want to say thank you once again for everyone who's been a part of this amazing work. What a beautiful vision, legacy for our students and our community. We are so just excited about all of the renovations, and thank you so much for just the spirit of excellence in the Kimball Vertical team. And we're just excited about this wonderful legacy for our kids because they deserve the very best. So thank you all for all of your collaboration and for your work for our community. Thank you so much.
Going in order of grade levels, so that I will not get in trouble again with my principals. Let's go to Principal Hughes for your closing remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. I ditto everything that Dr. Kelly said, and thank you all for everything. Thank you.
Okay, and to bring us to a close tonight, the principal of the state championship basketball men's team of the Kimball Knights. Take it away, sir, for closing remarks.
Awesome. At Kimball, our motto is we always seek the best. And I think this is just indicative of how we feel. And if I had an emoji that I could hit tonight about this presentation, it would have been the fire emoji. This was a great start. And like Brother Alfred said, I need everybody to keep engaged. At the end of the last three letters in Kimball is ALL. So we need all on board, all in, all the time throughout this whole process. So I thank y'all for being on here tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Okay, thank everyone for joining us both in person on this Teams meeting and on the social media. We encourage you, we have a little bit of homework for you since this is a school. If you're attending the meeting tonight, please go to Dallas ISD's Facebook page and share this meeting on your social media challenge so more people will know about the great things happening in the Knight Kingdom, in the Kimball Kingdom. So with that being said, again, you can keep track of this and all bond projects at dallasisd.org/bond2020. Again, thank you for joining us tonight, and good evening.